Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we will see several women complain about traditional wives, criticize how now divorce is worse than staying at home, and we will see how a woman tells us that this is oppression of women by men. We want to invite you to smash that like button. Let's support the movement. Subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask of you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave us your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. And without further introduction, let's get started.
I used to be a tradwife and now I'm a single mom. It all started back when I was a teen mom. I was 19 years old when I got pregnant. I was not married. When our daughter was like a week old, we just eloped at the courthouse and made it signed, sealed, and delivered. We were married. I was married to a military man and my job was to be a wife and a mom. I wasn't supposed to have any time or any thoughts about doing anything other than being a wife and a mom. I love my kids very dearly and I do not regret my decisions to have them. I do regret my decision to pick the partner that I picked to be their dad and to be my ex-husband. I had very low self-worth and self-esteem and thought that I was only good at being a wife and a mom because that's what I was shown growing up. It wasn't until we were teenagers that my mom ever started going to college. When she got married, she didn't have a college degree. She was in the military and she did her 4 years in the Air Force, and my dad was a career military man, and my mom just married him and became a tradwife. And don't get me wrong, tradwife life comes with perks. I think it's best when you pick the right partner. I've seen a video talking about stitch this and tell me why marriage is hard. Marriage is only hard when you pick the wrong partner. My ex-husband would make fun of my weight. He would make fun of the little gap I have in between my two front teeth right here. Basically anything he could find to make fun of, he would make fun of it. But he would try to play it off as if it was just him being sarcastic and that we should make fun of each other. And don't get me wrong, I know there's couples out there like that, and that is the way they show their love, and I am...
Stop it. Get some help.
Have you ever noticed that there's not a single thing in this life, whether it's work, entrepreneurship, even health, where people don't fail? People can fail, or there are hundreds of people failing, but the majority recognize their mistakes and state the reasons why they failed, except for women in marriage. The story always starts with her being the victim, saying she had an abusive man, that her ex-husband was the bad guy, and it goes on to end the story by saying all the bad things about her ex-partner, while she was always perfect. But one thing you can notice that she says, it wasn't bad to be a tradwife, it was my bad choice of partner. She said she had low self-esteem and chose poorly. Because I'll tell you something, if being a traditional wife was so bad, then everyone would be upside down. Because for decades this was the center of society, the family. So why not just say, I ruined my marriage, I chose a Chad to marry, I didn't protect myself along the way, nor did I take measures. Not all traditional women are wrong because I failed. Victimhood at its finest.
Not passing any judgment on how anybody else lives their life. I just know for me, coming from a house where we never did that, it really sent me into, like, I would say, emotional distress. I wanted to laugh all of the things off, but deep down inside, I knew all of the jokes were true and that he was basically just making fun of me our entire marriage. Of course, at the time, I probably didn't realize all of that until I was out of the marriage. I love my kids very, very, very much, and I do not regret my decision to have them. I love them so much. But picking the wrong partner did a number to me even post-divorce. I was tormented for years post-divorce. My ex was so controlling to the fact that he wanted to try to control my sex life after divorce, after many years of divorce. And he was already married and had a kid with his now wife, who was his wife back then also. Anyway, all of this to say is pick smart when you are picking the father of your children, the mother of your children, and you are picking a partner for life. Do not take that very lightly. That is one of the most important decisions you will make in your entire life. Next to what toppings you want for your Chipotle bowl. Also, it's very important to have the hard conversations in an early relationship and in an early marriage, that if your partner is doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, that you bring it up and you have the guts to have the hard conversations. That is one thing I definitely messed up in my relationship, is that I let my husband at the time make all the decisions. I basically had no voice. I don't even know if I would have been able to speak up. Because after we were divorced, when the kids went to go live with him, because my kids went to go live with him and I paid him child support, I would say I had no say-so on how my kids were raised. I learned that very quickly, that my voice and my opinions on my girls did not matter, and that I should just fall in line with anything he says to do.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Here's the thing. You chose the wrong man to build your life with, because I agree that before you get married, you should take certain measures in case things don't go well, like a prenup for men. Also, if you don't want to stay at home, you can say so, because from what I heard, you only saw the bad when you left the relationship. When you were in it, he supported you entirely, and you didn't complain. Because here's the real problem. Many of them don't complain about the marriage and the benefits obtained while in the relationship. They complain after they ask for a divorce, because we all know that 80% of divorces are initiated by women. They complain that they don't have the benefits of being a wife outside of it. Why do you think many only regret it months after the divorce, or while they are getting divorced? At first, they do it with joy and an inflated ego, saying, "I'm leaving you." But like any service in this life, one day you have to get the bill, and after that, they understand everything the man had to solve for her to live in her bubble. Now that she has to maintain her bubble and is out of the marriage, now it's bad to be a traditional wife. Don't be one. Don't fail like I did. As I said, she only plays the victim because now she has to support herself.
The women that are telling you the tradwife life is amazing are the little 22-year-old, 24-year-old girls that just got in it themselves. I am literally just trying to be dead ass honest. Being a tradwife really fucking sucks. I did it for 10 years. I got married when I was 26. I thought I knew everything. Oh my gosh. It was the next phase of life. College was over. Everybody was moving on. Everybody else was getting engaged and getting married and getting jobs and moving away. And I had the majorest FOMO of my life. The guy that I had been dating for a couple of years was like, "Hey, do you want to marry me?" And I was like, I guess so. I remember calling like every woman in my family to be like, "Hey, how do you fucking know you're supposed to get married?" Like, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? And they were like, "Yeah, great, good job, congrats." You know, I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. But it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Like, think of yourself when you're 10 years old, and then when you're 15 years old, you really grow and change as a person, then from 15 to 20. Well, when you get married at 25, at 35, you might be a different person. You know, just having children alone, the gravity of that sometimes really falls on you, and you see the world differently, and you do start to change some of the ideals and morals that you had. You're gonna see the world through a completely different lens. So when you give up all of your autonomy to this other person and then start bringing other people into the world, you may set yourself up to be in a real shitty spot. And I'm saying that with 10 years experience, and now 5 years removed from that experience. I've got 5 years to look back and say, man, I really fucked up. I should have stayed. And I gotta tell you, I only wish I left sooner. I only fucking wish I could have like healed faster, but fuck, I feel like I did a good job. So good luck.
We could have been a good couple. We could have had something special. But you one crazy ass bitch.
As I said, misery loves company. The first thing we see is that she said her partner proposed and that she had finished college. Second, before accepting, she asked the married women in her family. She didn't have her own judgment. Third, She didn't analyze her decision. As I've always said, women are emotional, and that's why they make bad emotional decisions. She never considered what kind of marriage she wanted. Now what I wonder is, if you had finished college and your partner, why didn't you go to work? Did he force you to stay at home? Or couldn't you decide? But also, if everything was going so badly, why in the process of those 10 years of marriage didn't you change your mind? You could have decided to enter the job market after 2 years, at least with a part-time job. But since it seems you don't have your own judgment to know what you want, you still didn't decide to change anything. Responsibility is kryptonite for women, because the women in her family are still married. Why didn't they tell her it was a bad idea? Because they have strong marriages and see it as something good. But she failed, didn't want to go to work, preferred to stay home for 10 years, and couldn't maintain her marriage. Now she criticizes what she chose to do in her youth. It's victimhood because she doesn't want to take responsibility and say she ruined her marriage. Now she complains about people who talk about having a healthy marriage. Misery loves company, but I want you to see what happens when the other side of the coin doesn't get married.
Snapping 1, 2, where are you?
When they decide not to get married and continue their careers, then they complain about ending up alone, bitter, and hitting the wall because the wall doesn't forgive. Now I ask you, do you see these women being happy? Aren't single women supposed to be the happiest? Because all I see are women seeking pity, posting sad messages online for attention. No matter how much these women say that being a traditional wife is bad or the worst thing that can happen to a woman, another person's marriage doesn't necessarily have to become yours. Today, only a minority in this country can afford to keep a woman at home with the opportunity to have their own roof, to watch their children grow. The majority have to work. There are options for women. They can work part-time, start a business from home, take care of other people's children, or simply take good care of their husbands. There are ways to make it work, but these women selfishly advise other women to ruin their relationships after their marriages fail, ending up like the women we see here, alone, bitter, and without a family. Because no matter how bad a marriage ends, many women are left with children, a house, and half of the man's money. We all know that divorce only benefits the woman, but they never mention that.
This cooking and cleaning thing isn't bad. Like, I just don't understand why women wanted to work.
Cut this shit out. You are working. This framing that there are women who work and there are women who don't work because men have gifted them the opportunity to stay home and cook and clean for them, you're both working. It is fine to want to stay home and do those things, but that is not a gift of no labor. You are both working, and when you're doing it exclusively in the home, you're working with no rights, no protection, no safety net. You're providing services that if you weren't around, that man would have to pay multiple professionals to get, because it's work, it's valuable work. But your job security in doing that is entirely contingent on that man deciding to keep you around. As your youth and your beauty, two things that are very protective of that job security, to a certain point, start to fade. Just because it feels fulfilling and free to not go to work every day does not mean you are free. All of the comments on this video are like, this is feminism. Making a choice of the life you want to live is feminism. No, feminism is collective liberation for all women. Feminism is women having the resources to not have to depend on men. Feminism is freedom from oppression, and freedom from oppression is having choices. Without money coming in that is yours, if that relationship ends, your job ends. You'll have no money, you'll have no resume, you'll have no references, no roof over your head, no unemployment check, you will have no choices but to find another man to support you. You need to make this man be paying you for the services you're providing as if you had a real job, so that if that marriage ends, you have something to fall back on. Say, if I forgo working outside of the home to stay home and take care of this family, I get this % of everything if we break up. If he says no to some type of agreement like that, then him allowing you to not work is not about letting you have the life that you've always dreamed of. It's about making you dependent on him and exploiting your labor. I'm rewatching Mad Men right now, and I just got to the point where Betty wants to divorce Don because he's been lying and cheating and gaslighting her, and she's been a homemaker for their 2 kids for 10 years. She's also been exploiting the labor of Black women to help her with that, but she has had no work and no money of her own. She goes to a lawyer and she's like, you know, what can I do? And he's like, you should stay married. You'll get no money. He'll probably get the kids because he has all of the resources, and she cannot leave that marriage until she has another man lined up that is willing to fully support her. And she was a rich woman. Her husband was worth millions of dollars, but none of it was hers. And that's the part that you don't see with all these tradwife light videos. It looks lovely and empowering and free to not be some loser feminist who has to go to work until their man changes their mind, or until you change your mind, like, oh my God. And then you will have nothing. He will have all the money you allowed him to make in his career, and he'll get everything he needs from the next woman in line, itching to take your place because she was brainwashed by tradwife shit on the internet.
Fuck up, you crazy bitch!
The nonsense from these women in the Purple Hair Collective is that they talk as if choosing a career over marriage means they won't depend on anything. Because most of them don't end up rich. They just have a job to survive. Many even have to be someone's mistress to get by, and others may end up being the big boss but miserable. Why don't you want to depend on your husband, who makes a contract with you, where half of his assets could go to you in case of a divorce, but instead, you'd rather go for a labor contract where you also have to work to earn a pittance? You won't have a family, a husband, or children, and tomorrow you could be fired and replaced by a younger woman. And not only that, do you know how many women today have to work 2 jobs just to pay off student loans that keep increasing in debt and interest every year? Sometimes it takes up to 10 years to pay off that damn debt for a degree that often doesn't pay more than minimum wage. But of course, being with a man who says stay at home, I'll take care of the bills, I'll buy you a house, I'll pay for the furniture, I'll cover all the bills and maintenance, vacations, and everything you consume. You just take care of raising the children and maintaining the house. According to these feminists, that's the worst thing that could happen to a woman. That's why you now see more and more women fulfilling the dream of not depending on any man, because men no longer want to marry. And then you hear them complaining again because they're alone in their 30s, and men don't want marriage because you reap what you sow. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Why do divorced women hate so much that young women want to be traditional? Do you know any woman who chose a career over marriage? How is it going for her? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.